Hey, my fruit growing friends. It is the first week in July in Las Vegas, which means it's hot as hell, and I've got a project to do because I still want to plant something in the ground. And this particular is going to need a little bit of help, so I'm going to build a shade structure on it, and I thought I'd show you how I'm going to do it. That's a quick and easy way, and it used to be cheap, but it's not so much today. These are pre-cut sections of PVC pipe, and obviously for the various strengths they've got various sizes, but for my purposes, since I've done this before, I know what I want to do. I'm going to pick up these pre-cut 1/2 inch by 5 foot Schedule 40 PVC. So they're already cut, nothing to do with it, and you'll need 4 of these, which means that's going to be about 20 bucks. I've already got 2 of them, so I'm just going to pick up 2 more. To go along with that, you're going to need the corresponding 1/2 inch 90-degree elbows, which are right here. And you'll need 4 of those because they will fit right here to start making your connections. Now, depending on what kind of span that you want to make with it, which I'm just going to try to cover a little small tree that I'm putting in the ground. And this time of the year, I want it to have a little bit of protection, so I don't need much of a span. This is a 2 foot section of the also 1/2 inch Schedule 40 PVC. So if you can see where I'm going with this, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 posts, and in between those posts is going to be this section that is connected by those 90-degree angles. Jesus Christ, they're expensive. You'd be better off just buying one and cutting it in half, because those are $3.49 a piece. Prices are up on everything, about double from when I originally bought mine. So 2 of those, that's another $7, so we're 27 and 4, 28, 29 bucks or so into that right now. Now we'll head all the way to the other end of Lowe's down to the construction area, and I'll show you the next thing you need, and we'll put it together. Now, over in the construction materials department, which is at the opposite end of the plumbing, is where you find a lot of the raw materials you need, and way down there on that rack is the rebar. Everything is usually in about 20-foot sections, but up at the front you can find pre-cut rebar, and they call these rebar pins, and you can get them for various sizes that you need strength-wise. These are 1.5 foot long. They call it 1/2 inch, but rebar goes by some different numbers, like number 4 and number 7, number 5, but I'm going to opt for the 2 foot long 1/2 inch rebar, so that's probably number 4. Yeah, it is number 4 rebar, which is 1/2 inch diameter, and it is 2 foot long for $4.98. That used to be under $1. That's just crazy. But the purpose of this is we need something to secure my shade structure or your little greenhouse, and you'll see what's going on here. We're going to drive these into the ground. This is going to fit right over it, so that works perfectly okay. If you want to stretch out there and do something a little bit nicer, these are just about $1 more. They're 18 inches, and these are steel stakes that have a point on the end of it, and they have they're pre-drilled, so you could, if that's the right size, you'd have to go to a larger pipe, which is the reason I didn't do it before. But you see, you could insert that into the 3/4 inch pipe, and you could make a cut or drill a hole right here to correspond with this one, and put a cotter pin in. But as this is, you can go in here, just drill one hole and use a screw. Once it's over this rebar, you use a screw and tighten it up and make that a set screw, if you will. little cheap projects already turning into what, $4.98, $5 a piece. You're gonna need 4 of those. It's another 20 bucks. Kind of stupid. Let's go put it together. Okay, I've got things put together here and simply just slid those PVC sections on top of that rebar. And I found some shade cloth that I had from another project that I've draped over it. And you can obviously tell here that this thing is not square. And it don't matter if you're OCD about that stuff, you can do that a little differently. But 4 posts on it, shade cloth draped over it. I have used zip ties just to kind of seam or sew things up, stitch things up, if you will, to keep this from flapping in the wind and to secure it around the PVC pipe. This is flexible but sturdy. I have never had one blow off before, so this works out very well. If you wanted to go to the extreme, you could get the galvanized steel pipe instead of this PVC, and you'd end up at about 4 times the cost, which was a little bit crazy this time. When I started to make a video of this a couple of years ago, I said it would be a quick, easy, and cheap shade structure to put up, but in today's world it's just not the case. Those 4 pieces of rebar, I only had to buy 2, but 4 pieces of rebar at $5 a piece. It used to be about $1. The 4 pieces of 5-foot PVC were almost $5. They used to be $2. So we got 20, 40, the couplers and the short sections, that's about 50 bucks tied up into that. But the little tree that I'm gonna put under here that I just got about 10 days ago, I've had it acclimating out here. Pardon me for panning, but there she is right there. See, she's little, 2.5 foot tall in a 1-gallon pot. I've got about $100 tied up in that tree, so spending another 50 to keep it alive is worth it to me, but I'll be able to use this over and over again. Obviously, you know, I had part of the sections already here. Do I do this all the time? No, but we are in the 2nd week in July, and this week we're going to be over 110 every day. And a young tree, I just want to keep it from being stressed. Now, those mulberry trees don't need shade protection. Right over here is another one that was about the same size, might have been even a little bit littler. There was a June bug that I planted, but I put this one in April, sometime in April, I think it was. It might have even been May, when the temperatures were much milder and it could establish its roots. And see, it's out in here, full sun pretty well all day long, doing okay. And I've got another one over in the corner. But this one, I just want to keep it from getting stressed in that 110 degree heat. Now, I put a stake down there. I've got my hole kind of prepared. I've put a stake down there, and I'm going to watch the sun for a day and see how it is to where that is going to be. I may have to drop this cloth a little bit over here because it's not getting any sun right now, but you look up to the roof of the house, she'll start getting sun about 10 o'clock. And in this particular section, it will get sun, full sun, the rest of the day. As it moves west, let me get in the position here, and the sun's going to come right down here until it gets behind, you know, these trees and that house late in the afternoon. So that's all I'm trying to do, is keep it from getting stressed. But this also works real well for a winter cold structure. Instead of using the shade cloth, obviously, you can use some, well, I prefer a DeWitt frost cloth. Pardon me, I couldn't think there for a minute. But you could use any number of things. I've seen old bed sheets and old quilts put over these, and some visqueen even, but that DeWitt frost cloth is a good investment. And if that would keep the frost off of your tender young plants. If you're one of those of an ocean and want to fool with tropicals here in Las Vegas, you have to give those winter protection. Young citrus trees probably need some winter protection. This is an ideal situation for that. You just put your frost cloth or whatever you've got available around it, and then put a heat source in there, be it a string of incandescent old Christmas lights or an old incandescent shop light that will generate a heat source in there. And I have done that before, and I think even when I use the incandescent the larger incandescent Christmas tree lights on a young citrus tree one year, there was almost just 20 degrees difference inside of that structure that I used versus outside. I had 2 thermometers outside to check it out with. So there you go. I hope that gives you some ideas. You can do this a little differently. Now, another thing, if you wanted to reduce the cost on this, instead of using 4 posts on it, you could simply take a 10-foot piece of the PVC pipe, which those were $5. A 10-foot piece are probably about $8. Still use the 4 rebar posts, and you'd have to spread them out a little bit further, but this stuff is pretty flexible. So you could take 2 10-foot pieces, put them in the ground, and bend them over to connect, and be like a hoop house, if you will. Matter of fact, that's what they make a lot of hoop houses out of. And that would be reducing your cost of about $38, because you don't have the couplers and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, there you go. Just sharing some ideas. Put your own configuration to it how you will, and I hope that helps you out a little bit. If you need to throw a quick, easy, no cutting, all I had to do was kind of assemble that right off the shelf and put it together. Happy gardening, guys.